Documentary film. In the late Jurassic period, approximately 150 million years ago, a vast arid landscape dominated much of what is now North America. This was the Morrison Formation, a semi-arid plain punctuated by seasonal rivers and ephemeral lakes. It was a world of giants, a kingdom ruled by some of the most iconic dinosaurs to have ever walked the earth. During the dry season, life was a desperate struggle for survival. Water sources dwindled, vegetation withered, and the land became a harsh, unforgiving stage for the drama of life and death. But when the rains returned, the landscape was transformed. Rivers swelled, floodplains became lush and vast. Shallow bodies of water appeared, creating temporary oases teeming with life. One such location was a massive saline lake, a remnant of an ancient inland sea, which became a critical focal point for the region. This was the setting for a unique and brutal confrontation, a clash of predators from two different realms: the terrestrial hunters of the land and the aquatic titans of the water. This saline lake, which we'll call the Salt Lake, was an unusual ecosystem. Its high salinity meant that only specially adapted creatures could thrive within its depths. While many freshwater species would perish, certain types of fish had evolved to tolerate and even flourish in these challenging conditions. Among them was a colossal species of bony fish, a prehistoric behemoth that could rival the size of a modern-day great white shark. These were not the sleek, agile fish we might picture today. They were heavily armored, with thick, ganoid scales forming a near-impenetrable hide, growing to lengths of over 6 meters. These massive fish were apex predators in their own right, patrolling the murky depths of the lake. Their powerful jaws were lined with sharp, conical teeth, perfectly designed for seizing and crushing prey. They were opportunistic feeders, consuming smaller fish, amphibians, and any unfortunate land animal that ventured too close to the water's edge. For most of the year, they ruled their aquatic kingdom uncontested. However, the arrival of the wet season brought new and formidable challenges from the surrounding plains. Drawn by the promise of water and the abundance of life it supported, herds of herbivores flocked to the shores of the Salt Lake. Great sauropods, like Diplodocus and Apatosaurus, came to drink and feed on the burgeoning plant life, their immense size offering them protection from most threats. But following the herbivores, inevitably came the carnivores. And in the Morrison Formation, the undisputed apex predator on land was Allosaurus, a fearsome theropod. Allosaurus was a creature built for the hunt. Reaching up to 9 meters in length and weighing over 2 tons, it possessed a large skull filled with dozens of serrated, dagger-like teeth. Its powerful hind legs allowed it to charge at surprising speeds, while its muscular arms, each tipped with 3 wickedly sharp claws, were perfect for grappling with prey. Allosaurus was an intelligent and adaptable hunter, often operating in small packs to bring down sauropods, many times its own size. The Salt Lake Feast was not a planned event, but an annual convergence driven by a desperate hunger. As the dry season wore on, the land-based predators, the Allosaurs, grew increasingly lean and desperate. Their usual prey, the large sauropods and ornith, became harder to find or too risky to hunt as they congregated in large, defensive herds. The scent of the water and the promise of a different kind of meal drew the hungry theropods to the lake cassette. They would arrive, gaunt and aggressive, their senses on high alert. The fish, having grown fat and numerous during the preceding months, became a tempting and accessible target. For the Allosaurs, this was a high-risk, high-reward proposition. Wading into the shallows of the saline water was unnatural and dangerous. The soft, muddy lake bed could trap an unwary predator, and the water itself was an alien environment, slowing their movements and leaving them vulnerable. The confrontation would begin tentatively. A lone Allosaurus, driven by extreme hunger, might cautiously approach the shoreline, its eyes scanning the shimmering surface of the water. It would see the telltale ripples, the dark, colossal shapes moving just beneath the surface. Lowering its massive head, it would attempt to snatch a fish from the shallows. This was a delicate and dangerous maneuver. A miscalculation could result in a mouthful of briny water and a lost opportunity. But a successful catch would be a vital injection of calories, a lifeline in a harsh environment. The fish, however, were far from helpless victims. They were ancient predators themselves, and they did not yield their territory as a lay. The sight of a thrashing Allosaurus in the water was both a threat and an opportunity. A large fish, sensing the disturbance and the potential for a meal, might be drawn to investigate. What followed was a primeval battle of epic proportions. The Allosaurs, normally the masters of their domain, found themselves at a distinct disadvantage in the water. Their powerful legs, so effective on land, were clumsy and slow in the thick, muddy shallows. Their primary weapons, their teeth and claws, were still formidable, but their agility was severely compromised. A large fish, on the other hand, was in its element. It could use the water's opacity to its advantage, launching surprise attacks from the depths. An Allosaurus wading chest deep might suddenly feel a crushing pressure on its leg as a 6-meter fish clamps its powerful jaws around the limb. The dinosaur's serrated teeth were designed for slicing flesh, not for gripping a slippery, armored opponent. The fish's hide, covered in bony plates, offered significant protection against the Allosaurus' claws. The ensuing struggle would be a chaotic and bloody spectacle. The Allosaurus would roar in pain and fury, thrashing wildly to break free. It might try to use its powerful arms to claw at the fish's eyes or gills, the few vulnerable points on its armored body. The fish, for its part, would use its immense weight and the leverage of the water to try and drag the dinosaur down. If it could pull the Allosaurus off its feet and into deeper water, the fight would be over. The terrestrial predator, unable to swim effectively and encumbered by its own weight, would quickly drown. The battle would churn the water into a frothing, bloody mess, attracting other predators from both land and water. Other Allosaurs, seeing the struggle, might join the fray, either to attack the same fish or to take advantage of the distraction and snatch smaller fish from the chaos. Similarly, other giant fish would be drawn to the scent of blood, potentially turning on the injured Allosaurus, or even their own kind. Fossil evidence from the Morrison Formation paints a vivid picture of these brutal encounters. Paleontologists have discovered Allosaurus bones bearing the distinct circular puncture marks of large fish teeth. Conversely, fish fossils have been found with the deep gouges and scrapes consistent with an Allosaurus attack. Some of the most compelling evidence comes from a site known as the Dinosaur Death Trap at the Cleveland-Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry in Utah. This location, once a muddy, waterlogged bog, contains the fossilized remains of dozens of alligators. One theory suggests that these predators became trapped in the thick mud while attempting to hunt or scavenge near the water's edge, falling victim to the treacherous environment they had entered in search of food. It is entirely plausible that some of these individuals were lured to their doom by the promise of the Salt Lake Feast, only to be attacked by the lake's resident titans or simply swallowed by the mud. This annual feast was a crucial part of the ecosystem's cycle. For the Allosaurs that survived, the fish provided a vital source of protein and fat, allowing them to endure the remainder of the dry season and enter the next breeding season in a stronger, healthier condition. For the fish, the arrival of the dinosaurs was a period of great peril, but also a chance to eliminate a terrestrial threat. The individuals that were killed and eaten by the Allosaurs provided a direct transfer of nutrients from the aquatic environment to the terrestrial one. The carcasses of both dinosaurs and fish that were left behind after these battles would have provided a feast from smaller dinosaurs and pterosaurs to countless invertebrates, further enriching the complex food web of the Morrison Formation. The Salt Lake Feast was a testament to the brutal, opportunistic nature of life in the late Jurassic. It was a dramatic illustration of the lengths to which predators would go to survive, pushing the boundaries of their normal habitats and behaviors in the relentless pursuit of a meal. This unique, seasonal conflict between the kings of the land and the giants of the water highlights the incredible adaptability and ferocity of these prehistoric animals. It was a world where survival was a daily battle, and the line between hunter and hunted could blur in an instant at the water's edge. The clash of Allosaurus and its massive fish prey is a powerful reminder that the prehistoric world was far more complex and dynamic than we can ever fully imagine. The stage 4 dramas of life and death on a scale that defies belief. Documentary film.